I don't know how many times I said slay in this video, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I cannot help it. It is a quintessential part of my personality now to say slay. Hey, what's up you guys? It's Avery and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who've never been here before, what's up? Glad you made it. Let's vibe it out. I'm sorry I said that. That was a little cringe. The first thing that I want to say in this video is thank you so much for 3,000 subscribers. I just hit 3,000 subscribers yesterday and I'm just very appreciative. Can't believe there are 3,000 people who are subscribed to my channel. And I know that's not a lot in like the grand scheme of YouTube, but if I actually think about 3,000 individual people, most of which don't know me, I mean probably 20 of my subscribers are people that actually know me. That's kind of crazy. So I'm very appreciative to each and every one of you who watches my videos. I love making them. I love interacting with you guys and I'm gonna keep doing it, you know? So as the title of this video says, today I'm going to be talking about the album of the year, Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. I am a big fan of this album. I think that she's just such a great songwriter, singer. Like, she understands the girls. I just love the album because I feel like it transports me back into being a teenage girl, which I still feel like I am a teenage girl because I'm only 22 years old. And you don't even have to be a teenage girl to like get these songs. I know that there are 70-year-old women listening to some Olivia being like, slay. And where did she lie? Nowhere. So in this video, I'm going to be recommending a book with each song from the album. And I also did this for Sour like 2 years ago, which is crazy to think about. And I loved making that video, and so I thought that it would be a fun idea to do it for her second album as well. So some of the recommendations are going to be like closely tied to the song and what the song is about, but for a few of them, I don't read tons and tons of romance. They're like loose interpretations, but most of the books do have something to do with romance because that is what she sings about mainly, but not all of her songs are about that. So they're not all romancy, but a few of them are. So without further ado, let's hop into it and let's spill our guts. Funny. So the first song on the album is All American Bitch. I really like the song. I think it's so fun. I think that it is a good song to kind of talk about what it's like to be like a girl, an American girl, and the different, you know, juxtapositions you have to deal with. So for this, I am going to recommend Daisy Miller by Henry James. So I feel like this song is about like being a girl currently, and this is an older book which is set during 1877 in Rome, and you might be like, what? Queen, what are you talking about? It's about this man who's traveling abroad and he meets Daisy Miller, this young American girl, and she is really thought of as like unrefined by a lot of people because she doesn't really play into like societal expectations or gender norms of how she should or shouldn't act. And so it's a really interesting commentary on like societal expectations of the way that women were supposed to act during this time and what happens to women who defy those expectations. And I just thought that that was very similar to the overall theme of All American Bitch. Because I think as women, you have a lot of expectations to be certain things and not certain things, and that can feel a lot and it can feel suffocating. And Daisy Miller felt this way, you know, 150 years ago during this book, and it was just a fun read. It's a short book and I think it's really good. So the next song is Bad Idea, Right? And this was a song that I think maybe like most people, when I first listened to, I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't know if I like this song, but then the more that I listen to it, the more it gets just stuck in your head. It's actually just so fun to jam to and to sing along to, and I really think the song's very fun. So for this song, I'm going to recommend The One That Got Away by Melissa Pimentel. This is a story about a girl, I forget her name, I just read it, Ruby, who was in love with this man named Ethan 10 years ago. And this is a retelling of Persuasion by Jane Austen. And so she and Ethan were in love, but then something happens, they break up, you're not really sure what happens. And 10 years later, her sister is marrying his best friend. And so they're coming back together to be at this wedding, similar to what happens in Persuasion. So it's about them reconnecting. It's kind of a second chance romance. And this really goes with Bad Idea, right? Because she's literally just convincing herself. She's like, yes, I know that he's my ex, but can two people reconnect? I only see him as a friend. So it's literally just like trying to convince yourself that you can spend time with your ex and like be okay, even though everyone knows that cannot happen. And then you see the results. The next song on the album is Vampire, which I love. I think it's just a fun song to belt out and just to be heartbroken to, so slay. The book that I chose for this is Washington Square by Henry James, and this is the last classic in this video. I know that I just did 2 Henry James books, but I think he's a great writer. Anyway, this book takes place in 1820 in New York, and it follows a girl named Catherine, who is described by everyone who knows her as being kind of dull and not pretty and not really intelligent, which is rough. It's rough out here, you know what I mean? But then this man named Mr. Townsend rolls up on the scene, and he is basically in love with her, wants to marry her. Another thing to note is that Catherine is very wealthy, and this man, Morris Townsend, is broke, has no career, and he's like, oh, I love you, I want to marry you. And her dad is like, I don't know if that's true. Maybe he's just after your money. And so that's what the whole book is centered on. It's about their relationship and her falling in love with him and the dad just trying to stop it from happening. And the way that it relates to Vampire is because Townsend is like a vampire because he's literally just trying to leech off of her for her money. And she is young and naive and doesn't realize it. You see what happens at the end. I think that it's a really good book for Vampire because he is actually just the epitome of trying to like leech off of her and breaks her heart in the process. So, poor Catherine. The next song is Lacy, and I love this song. I think that it's so pretty. I just think that it's one of the prettiest songs on the album. I love singing it. It's very haunting sounding to me, and I just think it's great. So, big fan of this one. And I also just like that Olivia Rodrigo like writes about the relationships between other women and being jealous of other women, but also really like looking up to them, admiring, and like the obsession that some women have with other women, because I feel like we've all been there. Like we all have a celebrity crush, whether it be like a model or actress or singer who we're just a little obsessed with, and we like want their life and think that they're perfect, and it can like really cause you to like hurt yourself in the process and put yourself down. So the book that I chose for this song is How to Fall Out of Love Madly by Jana Casal. It follows 3 women. 2 are best friends and used to live together, but then one of them moves out to live with her boyfriend, and the remaining one gets a male roommate, and she falls in love with the male roommate, but he is dating somebody else. So those are the 3 women of the story, is the 2 best friends, one moves out, the boy comes in to move in with her. She's in love with him, but he has this girlfriend, and she's also a main character of the story. So we alternate between these 3 women and the different issues that they go through in love and relationships and their own self-worth. And the reason that this song really reminded me of Lacy is because the roommate who's in love with the boy roommate, she is pretty obsessed with his girlfriend because his girlfriend is like a model, she's beautiful, seems to have her life together perfectly. And so that's definitely like, you could view her as singing the song Lacy to this girlfriend. But the thing that I really loved about this book is that all of the women are shown to be so real, and each of their struggles is illustrated like really well. It just shows that like even the most beautiful woman who seems to have their life together has these horrible insecurities, and just that, you know, we as women all struggle with the same things, even though we compare ourselves to each other. And this book was just so good. It really felt like it described what being a woman was like. Like, that's what I remember as I read it. There would just be paragraphs about these women describing the way they feel about themselves or feel about others or feel about men, and I was like, so true, like so true. The author just really gets the girlies. Okay, next up we have Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl, and I really like the song. I'm gonna say that for all the songs because I pretty much really like all the songs, so sorry if that gets annoying. But this one's really fun because it's like a fun one to just like scream sing, and I think everyone has related to feeling like they just like left their house and were so incredibly awkward in a social situation, and anytime you interact with other people, you're like, why am I like this? I'm so weird and awkward. And I just think that is a universal experience, and that's why the song's so fun. So for this song, I'm going to recommend Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. I love this book. I've talked about it on my channel multiple times, but it's about a woman named Bernadette who is a mother, and she lives in Seattle with her husband and daughter, her 14-year-old daughter, I think, and she just does not do well with getting along with other people. She is socially awkward. She just can't really small talk with people who are really insufferable, and she just kind of starts to lose it, and she ends up disappearing. And her daughter is trying to figure out where she went through the course of this book. And I really love this book. I thought it was so funny. I thought that the way that Bernadette interacted with and described other people was really funny, which is maybe like a red flag for me because Bernadette definitely has some issues, but I was kind of like, yeah, queen, slay, like, you're not wrong. Overall, I know Bernadette would relate to Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl. Okay, the next song we have is Making the Bed, which is about feeling like you just put yourself in bad situations, and that while it is easy to blame other people for our problems, a lot of the times we do it to ourselves, and I think that that's very relatable for a lot of people, and you're like, you know what, sometimes I make bad choices, and that's that. So for this song, I'm going to recommend Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I just read this a month or two ago, and I really enjoyed it. It's about a woman named Carrie Soto who is the best tennis player of all time, and she goes into retirement after this amazing career. But after she retires, like 7 years later, there is a new person coming out into the tennis scene who is about to destroy her Grand Slam record. And Carrie Soto basically cannot handle this. She just has to be the best all the time, and so she decides that she is going to come out of retirement, retrain, and try and take her title back. This story is basically just about her working really hard to kind of preserve something that doesn't really matter, because you know that one day she's gonna turn, what, 80 years old, and she's not going to be playing tennis, and somebody is still going to destroy her record. So the whole time you're a little just like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you like so obsessed with this thing? And you like respect her for it, but at the same time, like, she is causing herself a lot of grief, and she did that throughout her entire life. And so I just thought that like Carrie Soto would listen to Making the Bed and relate to it. There's also a little romance in the book. It's not the main plot of the book, but it's good. Next up we have Logical, which is a sad girl song. I really like this song because I think we've all been there. Like, we've all just tried to convince ourselves that somebody is, different than what they actually are because we are in love with them, and we just don't act right. And we don't act logical in our brains, and we just allow ourselves to bypass all the red flags. She never misses, really. So for this, I'm going to recommend Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. This book follows a love story between two people. It's been a while since I read it, but both of these people have their own issues. And so them in a relationship together is really good for them, but also they're a little self-destructive. Both of the characters in this book are really smart. They're very smart people, and both of them know deep down that their relationship is maybe not the best, maybe a little toxic, but they also can't help the fact that they love each other. So throughout the book, they're not being the most logical, but they're trying to make their relationship work despite that fact. And I really like Olivia Blake. I think she's a really interesting writer, and unlike a lot of other writers I've read before. Logical is sad, sad, sad. This book is less sad, sad, sad. So there's a silver lining if you want it. Next up we have Get Him Back, which is probably my favorite song on the album. I don't know if that's true. I think it is. It's between that and another one. But I love Get Him Back. It was definitely the first one when I listened to the album, like the first few times. I was like, this is my anthem. And I just was like blasting it for a solid week after it came out. Like, it's my like, oh, I'm a bad bitch song. I walk down the street listening to it, like, get absolutely wrecked. You know what I mean? I also just really like the play on words of her wanting to get him back like get him back in her life, but also her wanting to get him back, like get him back for what he did because he screwed her over and she wants to screw him over. And because I think that's what a lot of people feel after a breakup, like I know I felt that. You feel like, oh, I miss them and so I want to get them back, but at the same time you're like, no I don't, like I want to get him back, like he sucks, I want revenge. So maybe that's exposing myself a little, but I thought it was relatable. So for this, I chose The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. And this is really kind of the entire, maybe not even the first book. Honestly, it might be more The Wicked King, but you have to start with this one if you haven't read the series. This is a trilogy, and I really love this trilogy. It's a fantasy trilogy about this girl named Jude, who is a human, and she lives in the fairy world, and there is a prince of fairy named Cardan, and they hate each other, but they actually kind of love each other too. This book follows their relationship, and basically Jude just goes back and forth between like, ooh, kind of wanting him and also literally hating his guts and wanting to kill him. And I think that that's so fun. I love that dichotomy. It really goes with get him back, and it's a slay. I don't know how many times I said slay in this video, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I cannot help it. It is a like quintessential part of my personality now to say slay. Okay, so I said Get Him Back was probably tied with one other for my favorite song, and I think the other is the next song, which is Love is Embarrassing, because like, so true. So true. Being in love is embarrassing, and you do embarrassing things, and you like really can make poor decisions when you're in love. And I really love the line where she's like, watch as I crucify myself. Been there, like you really like will like destroy yourself and your self-worth in order to like have somebody love you, which is ridiculous. And then we snap out of it and we're like, nope, I don't need to do that. I really don't need to do that. Somebody should love you fully for who you are. Not me getting preachy. But for this book, I chose a nonfiction. Ooh, that's kind of crazy. But I just wanted to switch things up a little bit. And honestly, this is kind of funny that I'm recommending it because I haven't actually read the entire book, but I'll explain why. But the book that I chose is Attached, The New Science of Adult Attachment and How It Can Help You Find and Keep Love by Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. So I talked about this book in my books that I DNF'd this year because I felt like I read a good chunk of it and got a lot of the information that I wanted from it. But this book is about the 3 different attachment styles: secure attachment, anxious attachment, and avoidant attachment. And reading about this and knowing what your attachment style is and the attachment style of the person that you are in a relationship with, I think is like really important and can help you not do embarrassing things like, you know, Olivia mentions in Love's Embarrassing. Because I think sometimes when you have an anxious attachment style, you can like really overexert yourself and just do embarrassing things. And so this book is really good at like explaining the attachment styles and helping you know why you are the way you are and what you can do to kind of get yourself headed towards a more secure attachment style and to a more healthy place so that you don't act crazy. And I think everybody would benefit from learning this about themselves. Next up we have The Grudge. This was, when I first listened to the album, this song made me cry a lot because I thought it was very relatable. Okay, I feel like I've been exposing myself a little bit here during this half of the video. I went through a breakup recently, like 2 months ago. And so this album dropped about a month ago and I was really, really here for it because of where I was at emotionally. And so The Grudge really hit me. It still does. I think it's a beautiful song about how hard it is to forgive somebody and that you can really just, you know, hold on to something because it's hard to forgive and forget. Like, I don't know, it's hard to be that bigger person and to do that when you feel like someone has really wronged you. The book that I recommended for this song is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. So this book was adapted into a movie. A lot of people probably have seen it or heard of it, but this book follows a girl named Kaya who lives in the marshes of a North Carolina coastal town, and it's about her growing up by herself in the woods, and it's about the 2 men in her life that she falls in love with at different periods of her life, and one of them really wrongs her. Actually, they both really wrong her. One of them a lot more than the other, but they both really hurt her. And it's about her like not being able to move on from it. A murder occurs and you're trying to figure out if she murdered one of these men or if someone else did or what happened. Great book, crazy ending, very good. Next up we have Pretty Isn't Pretty, which, similar to All American Bitch, I feel like is just a song about being a girl and about how it's hard to be a girl. Also similar to Jealousy Jealousy off of Sour, the song is just about how, like, there are these expectations that women feel that they need to meet in order to be beautiful, and you'll literally just never be able to meet them all. And even when you feel pretty, you're not pretty enough in some other way. And every girl ever, and men probably too, listened to the song and was like, yup, she's not wrong. So the book that I picked for this one is Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi. This book follows two sisters named Jane and June. The book mainly follows June, she's the main character, but it's about the sisters and their relationship with each other. But the reason that I chose it for this song is because Jane really struggles with her self-confidence, with her body image. She does have an eating disorder. It's just about the fact that she never feels like she's good enough, ever. And especially compared to her sister, she just kind of always feels like she'll never be pretty enough and she'll never be good enough. And that's something that she struggles with throughout the whole book. And literally, it's just Pretty Isn't Pretty by Olivia Rodrigo. That is in this book. Okay, and we've made it to the end of the video. The last song on the album is Teenage Dream, which isn't my favorite on the album, I'd say. Out of all of them, this is probably my least favorite, but like, I'll still listen to it and, you know, bop along. I just feel like this song is about what it's like to be a teenager and to feel all the pressure of growing up and of, you know, having to be smart and make good decisions but still being young. I also feel like because I haven't been a teenager in a while, I mean, I guess relatively I'm closer to a teenager than like an 80-year-old, but haven't felt like a teen in a long time. This song just maybe wasn't very relatable to me, but I probably would have loved it when I was a teenager. And for this, I chose The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Anne Bashara's. I love this entire series. It's so good. I'm sure you've seen the movie. The movie's so good too, but the book series is also just really, really good, and it follows these 4 teenagers as they grow up and as they experience life, as they experience things as teenagers, but then also as they turn into adults and go to college. And it's just a big coming of age series about friends and about growing up and what it's like to be a teenage girl. I loved reading these when I was a teenager. I know I would still love them as an adult, so would definitely recommend. So those are my book recommendations for every song off of Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you think that they go well with the songs. Also let me know what your favorite song is off of the album. I will say that I think mine is probably Get Him Back and Love Is Embarrassing. I think maybe Love Is Embarrassing is my favorite at the moment. Let me know what yours is in the comments. Also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Those are both linked down below, and I post some content on there as well if you want to keep up with me there. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.